Assalamu alaikum and greetings from Brunei Darussalam. This is a presentation entitled Graduate Teacher Candidates Reflections on School Practicum Experiences during the COVID-19 Pandemic. I am Dr. Masitah Shahrill, a teacher educator and the current Dean of the Sultan Hassanah Bolkiah Institute of Education, or SHIBI, and my co-author is Dr. Siti Norhedayah Abdul Latif, also a teacher educator and the current program leader in initial teacher preparation in SHIBI, Universiti Brunei Darussalam. Firstly, let me introduce Sultan Hassanah Bolkiah Institute of Education, which is a graduate faculty in Universiti Brunei Darussalam. SHIBI started from a humble beginning in 1956 as Maktab Perguruan, or Teacher Education College, and the institute has grown to become a graduate school of education since August 2009. SHIBI looks after four main components. Firstly, the initial teacher preparation, where we offer professional training to graduates who choose to become teachers through the Master of Teaching, or MTeach program. Secondly, the graduate professional development, where we provide high quality professional development through the Master of Education by coursework, Master of Education by research, Master in Counseling, and PhD in Education. Thirdly, the continuing professional development, where we offer bespoke programs and professional development courses for practitioners. And finally, school partnership, where it is aligned to the MTeach program to develop capacity in the education system through collaboration. SHIBI's Master of Teaching program prepare graduate teacher candidates with relevant learning theories, understanding of how to apply these theories in actual classroom, and opportunities to master research skills necessary to improve student outcome. Upon completion of the MTeach program, our graduates are expected to be master of their subject matter pedagogies, reflective and innovative teacher, research-informed teacher, lifelong learner, and a professional. Within the MTeach program are two core modules called the Professional Practice and Seminars 1 and 2, or PPS 1 and 2. Graduate teacher candidates, or the GTCs, will be placed in schools and institutions around the country for 10 weeks. The school placements will be from Monday to Thursday in 2 consecutive semesters. And the teacher candidates will be mentored by experienced school teachers in partnership with the MTeach clinical specialists. Here I share the module outline of PPS 1 and PPS 2, where the learning outcomes will expect the GTCs to be able to reach 80% for higher order learning outcomes upon successful completion of the module. Last year, at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Ministry of Education in Brunei Darussalam implemented the de-escalation stages for primary and secondary schools during the first closure of schools in March 2020 and the subsequent reopening of schools over the months that followed. As was reported by Shahrill et al. In a forthcoming publication, these stages brought about changes in pedagogical approaches, school operating hours, school activities, and movement that every school had to follow and carry out. As schools slowly returned to normal operations, social distancing was still mandatory at both primary and secondary schools. Shahrill and researchers also reported that in adhering strictly to the business continuity plan in the classroom, the Ministry of Education recommended limitations to the number of students present in physical classrooms. Schools were also advised to provide a mixture of pedagogical approaches in relation to studying at school and home-based learning. The objective of this present study is to explore the MTeach or graduate teacher candidates' perspectives about their school practicum during the COVID-19 pandemic. According to Presley, in 2021, most teachers had trouble with psychological symptoms during the COVID-19 pandemic, such as depression and anxiety. As well as psychological problems, another issue that arises is also burnout, due to the workload that teachers experienced during the pandemic, as the work was more than usual. Therefore, to limit burnout, Presley suggested that teachers should be monitored and given support throughout the online classroom journey. According to Rasmit Tadila and colleagues, teachers in Indonesia faced many challenges where students do not own technological devices such as cell phones and laptops, and also slow internet connection, which raises problems for student interactions in online classes, thus hindering student participation. The sample consisted of 14 GTCs conveniently selected to share school practicum experiences during the pandemic by reflecting on their teaching, students' learning, and respective school situations. Meanwhile, the instrument used online open-ended questionnaire by submitting their written reflections using the mobile application WhatsApp or by email. Data were collected in semester 1 of the academic year 2020 to 2021, which was in November 2020, and all data were analyzed qualitatively. 3 questions were asked in the online open-ended questionnaire. Firstly, how were the GTCs informed by the school about the changes he or she needed to do with his or her teaching? Secondly, to describe the revised teaching activities that the GTCs implemented with his or her students. And thirdly, what were the challenges that the GTCs encountered? From the results on the information about the changes from school, all 14 respondents replied unanimously that the initial news about the changes they needed to make in their teaching came from their corresponding leaders through mobile application WhatsApp. And the given instructions on preparing teaching materials for their students were mainly similar across all schools. The results for the revised teaching activities implemented involved a lot of sudden changes in the use of videos and other educational applications and platforms, as shown here from GTC 5. This MTeach teacher candidate in particular were also empathizing with her students because some did not have any internet access, and she gave them PowerPoint versions of her lesson. Among the many challenges encountered were the stressful situation and the difficulties encountered in teaching online, as well as the GTC3 own students contacting after school hours, and thus she resorted in purchasing an additional phone just to cater to the demands of work. In addition, GTC6 also mentioned that about health concerns such as frequent eye strains, back and neck aches, and the interruption to his personal space and time. GTC 11 raised the challenges about the difficulty in keeping track of his students' progress on their learning. The challenges presented to all GTCs during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic had affected them intellectually, spiritually, physically, and emotionally. From the academic perspective, they had to swiftly revise their mode of teaching to incorporate teaching using various online platforms and applications, as well as utilizing alternative options of physical learning packs. Other challenges noted was careful monitoring of their students' learning progress and anxiety over parents' dependence on the GTCs. Terima kasih, or thank you for listening to this presentation.